I'm Andrew Beatty for Wednesday, June 3rd, and you're watching another edition of Bedtime Stories with the Motelorcyclist. Welcome back, and thank you very much for joining me for another edition of Bedtime Stories with the Motelorcyclist. I'm Andrew Beatty, and I'm really excited to talk to you tonight because on tonight's show, we not only have an author in Michelle Lamphere who wrote the beautiful book, The Butterfly Route, but she's also the owner of a great motel down in Custer, South Dakota. Now, this motel, the Chalet Motel, was opened in 1937, and so we're going to be sitting down and talking to her about not only her motorcycle journeys, but how she came to own such a beautiful property in Custer, South Dakota. As I'm showing you pictures now, if you don't know where Custer, South Dakota is, real quickly, it's in the Black Hills, and it's about 15 minutes. Michelle says 20, but I think she rides a little slower than I do, over up to Mount Rushmore, and it's a beautiful location. Unfortunately, I had seen it when I was down on my travels, but I didn't get a chance to actually pull in and stop, though I did notice it and recognize it and said that would be a really cool place to actually visit. So we're going to be talking with Michelle Lamphere in a little bit, but first I want to just bring to your attention a couple of things. I'm so proud to have had a review recently in Overland Magazine for Sleeping Around in America. If you want to take a look at it, you can go to my website and you can actually see it at www.motelorcycle.com. You can actually pull it up there. I'm sorry, it just took me a second. And I wanted to, but you can go ahead and read the review. And I'm so happy with it. And I hope you guys can pick up a copy of Sleeping Around in America. You can buy it directly from my website, or you can buy it, right from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and a number of other online resellers. And before we get started with the show, I just wanted to bring your attention to one more thing that's coming up this weekend. Now, I don't know if you've heard, but Rev Conferences is happening this weekend. Now, and that's June 5th and 6th, 2020. It's an industry first, and I'm part of it. 16 hours of webinars featuring a full lineup of true professionals, live Q&A sessions during every session, and join us and you'll be able to get the best seat in the house guaranteed. It's only $20 to register for this conference, and it's 2 full days, and it's this weekend. And here's the website. So you just go to revtalks.com to register. That's revtalks.com, and then you can be able to participate in the show. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you there. I'm excited to be participating in the show. When we come back, we'll be welcoming Michelle Lamphere from the beautiful Chalet Motel, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Stay tuned. Back, and thank you for joining me. I'm so excited guest. It's none other than Michelle Lamphere. Michelle is the owner of the Chalet Motel in Custer, South Dakota. Michelle, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, welcome, and thank you for joining me on Bedtime Stories with the Motelorcyclist. What a great honor to have you on the show.
Oh, the honor's mine. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm so excited that you were able to join us because it's very rare. I mean, so far in all the episodes I've done and all the travels that I made, very rarely do I actually want to come across a motorcyclist, an adventure motorcyclist, and a motelier all in one. And to be frank, the only one I've actually other one is Sterling and Eva down in Bisbee, in Bisbee, Arizona. So,
Yes.
What a cool thing to have you on the show. I'm so excited that you're here.
Well, again, I'm so excited to be here, and I'm a fan of yours. I'm going through some of your old episodes and catching up with friends, of course, and hearing lots of fun stories about your travels and your book. And so, thanks again for having me.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine. Let's do this. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started? We'll get into your book in a little second, but how did you get started into motorcycling, and then how did you get started in the hotel business? Because you're one of the rare breed who actually has a hospitality background, which nobody else really has. Actually, no one ever has a hospitality background in the motel industry. So you're very rare in that front. So why don't you get started on? Let's talk about the motorcycles first. You're from
Sure.
Sturgis. Tell us a little bit more about this.
Well, I don't think you can be born and raised in Sturgis and not somehow have a connection to motorcycles. So I grew up actually on a ranch outside of Sturgis and really was not involved in motorcycles other than seeing them come through for the rally each year. Had lots of friends who rode. I rode a boyfriend's bike when I was in high school, but it didn't really stick. And finally, when I turned 30, I decided, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to get a bike. So for my 30th birthday, I took a motorcycle safety course and finally got bitten by the bug. And here I am all these years later.
And now, did you start working in the hotel industry at that point? Were you working in the hotel industry in Sturgis?
I actually started working for the first time in the hotel industry for a little motel in Sturgis, a Best Western, actually.
I know it well. I actually know it well.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Small world. When I was in college, and then right out of college, I got an accounting degree. I took a bookkeeping job in a motel in Rapid City, which is about a half an hour from Sturgis, and just kind of moved my way from the accounting office to the management office, and spent 20 years managing hotels in Rapid City.
Wow. I have to comment on the Best Western in Sturgis. That had the darkest lobby that I ever remember. I mean, it was such a dark place when you walk into there, and it
Yes.
had the T-shirt display of all the Sturgis rallies right in the lobby for sale.
That's right.
Yeah, I think I bought my son a T-shirt there just because we're going way back. Anyway, sorry, I digress. So you followed the path of every other hotelier that's ever gotten into the hospitality industry. You worked your way up.
Yes.
Basically, you probably worked in every department that existed, and
Yes.
and then at some point after a 20-year career in Rapid City, you said, "Enough's enough. I'm getting on my motorcycle and I'm leaving." Tell me about this. And you went on this journey through the Americas.
Yeah, I think I probably had enough of working all of the summers and watching everybody else have more time to ride motorcycles than I did. When you live and work in a seasonal kind of a location, you spend all of your summers working, serving guests, and of course we have a long winter here, so there's no riding for 6 or 7 months of the year. And I didn't have much time to ride in the summer, so I finally thought, that's it. I'm going to take some time off. I left my job after 20 years and decided I'm going to actually pack it up and I'm going to go out on my bike. I bought a KLR 650 specifically for the trip and planned a route from South Dakota, hoping that I would ride as far south as Ushuaia, the bottom of South America. But didn't know. I thought I would take 6 months to a year and then have to settle down and get another job again. So yeah, I sold my house, I put my belongings in storage and hit the road.
But before long, tragedy struck almost immediately and you got into an accident. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so here I had planned to be on the road for 6 months to a year, and 2 weeks into the trip, I had an accident. The route that I took, I was traveling with my boyfriend at the time. The route that we took from South Dakota, we're heading south, mind you, but decided to take a detour and add in the Trans-Labrador Highway. So here we were in the middle of nowhere, eastern Canada, and I had a spill on the bike on a gravel road on a windy day, and dumped the bike and actually broke my leg. So I was laid up, had a tib fib fracture, literally, I would call the edge of nowhere, not even the middle of nowhere. And I spent 3 months recovering in Canada before I could get on the road again and then continue.
Wow. When you finished the journey, you came back and you decided you were going to. Now, I want to talk a little bit about your book because it's a beautiful book. Did you write the? Did you set off on the journey to with the aspiration of writing a book, or was this something that sort of came to you while you were going through the? You were just taking notes and then you built it into a book when you came back.
Yeah, I didn't have the intention of writing a book. I definitely was just wanting to take 6 months to a year off because I'd been working 20 years at what is really a 24/7, 365 business. I mean, having worked in hospitality for years, you just sacrifice a lot of personal time. So I went out really just with the idea of being able to camp and go see some beautiful places and take some time off. But I kept a journal along the way. I wanted to be able to look back years later and remember the places I'd been, the things I'd seen, the food I'd eaten, the people I'd met, and really kind of savor that for the next 20 years ahead. So I did keep a really detailed journal. And somewhere along the way, probably 6 to 9 months after I got back on the road after my accident and was traveling through Latin America, someone made the comment, you should write a book about it. And I don't think I really thought about it at the time, but that somewhere planted a seed. And so I kind of had that in the back of my mind when I got home, but it wasn't something I really thought about on the trip at all.
Wow. When I come back, I'll be asking Michelle how she came to own a motel. Okay, we're back again with Michelle, and now I want to pick up the story with you, Michelle, and find out a little bit more about how you actually, when you came back from your journey, how did you actually get into the motel business?
Well, when I came back from the road, I knew I had to get a job because I needed a place to live. So it was time to be a grown up again. I went back into the hotel industry and got a job in Rapid City and worked there for a few years. But I'd had a dream for probably a decade or more to have a place of my own, some sort of a bed and breakfast or a small motel. So I started looking right away for places that might be on the market in the area, and I found a little place in the Black Hills, not far from where I was living, and now that's where I'm at. About a year and a half ago, I bought a little motel of my own, and I'm living the dream.
Okay, I'm going to just stop you there for a second,
Yeah.
because everybody I know who entered the hospitality industry, especially those people who stayed in the operations side, all started with the dream of owning their own place.
Yeah.
Many people, after 20 years in the industry, said, "There's not a hope in hell I am ever going to own my own place." Yet you went ahead and did it. That is pretty unique, Michelle. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
So you found this beautiful motel in Custer, South Dakota. Tell me about how you came across this property in Custer. What was it that said, okay, that's the one? Was it was it because, or was it just there? Tell me the story there.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Anybody who's worked in the hotel world probably doesn't maintain a dream of owning their own place after 20 years of working in the hotel industry.
No, they do not.
Yeah, it is such a demanding business, 24/7, 365, as I said. So I was looking for really just a bed and breakfast or something that was manageable for me to get into price-wise. And also time-wise. I figured if I had maybe 6 to 10 rooms, something like that, that would be the perfect starter project for me. But most of the places that were on the market were out of my price range. I'd spent some of my savings on the 2 years that I was traveling in the Americas, so didn't have an awful lot of money for a down payment, and I had friends keeping eyes open for me. I had a friend who had moved to Custer while I was on the motorcycle trip in South America, and she and her husband bought a place. And she heard about this little place, the Chalet Motel, possibly coming on the market. The couple that had owned it for 25 years were both going to turn 80, and they were still running it themselves, which tells you all you need to know. You'll never get rich. You'll never retire. You have to love what you do to work in the hospitality industry. But anyway, so I came down and met with him a couple summers ago and fell in love with the little place. It was built in 1937, and it's a fixer-upper for sure, but it's so much fun. So yeah, here I am.
Well, it is absolutely charming. How many rooms does the property have?
16.
16 rooms. And for those that don't know, folks, Custer, South Dakota is right beside Mount Rushmore. I mean, you're literally a 10-minute drive to Mount Rushmore. And not only that, but of course, that's the famous site of the movie North by Northwest was filmed there.
Yes.
So people follow me and know that I've become a movie buff because my fiance is a huge movie buff, hence the Breakfast at Tiffany's poster in our bedroom. And then on top of that, but Custer has a whole bunch of other neat little things. Tell me a little bit about Custer and why somebody who might be wanting to make the trek to Sturgis might decide to choose Custer instead. I always like to hear it best from you as opposed to me telling them.
Sure. Custer was actually the first town that was incorporated or developed as a town in the late 1800s in South Dakota. And gold was discovered here in a creek that's running through town, still runs through town. So it's centrally located in the Black Hills. It's a beautiful area. Gorgeous rides. I can't say enough about the rides. And I've been very fortunate enough to have traveled a lot of gorgeous roads with my motorcycle in the U.S. And I know I'm biased, but Needles Highway and Iron Mountain Road are some of my favorite rides. And they're literally just a stone's throw from my place. So Custer is a great location for riding. It's close to Mount Rushmore, as you said. It's probably closer to 20 minutes, depending on traffic. Crazy Horse, Custer State Park is here, and that is a place that you can see a free-roaming buffalo herd. We locals like to say it's kind of like a small version of Yellowstone, with all of the geological formations and the wildlife. It's just a beautiful part of the country.
And Custer itself has a lot to offer. There's a great little craft brewery down there.
Yeah, Mount Rushmore Brewing Company. Yeah,
Mount Rushmore, the Pounding Fathers. So I got T-shirts for my boys down there with a bunch of caricatures of the presidents on them. And then there's, of course, for all motorcyclists, everybody loves the Purple Pie ice cream shop in town, and you're just around the corner from that. So I mean,
yeah.
You are so perfectly located. I can't stop because everybody is sort of. I mean, this is the 80th anniversary of the Sturgis Rally coming up this year, and can you give us any insight as to what you are hearing on whether the 80th anniversary of Sturgis will actually take place this year or not? Could you let us know what's going on?
Sure. There's obviously a lot of discussion because of coronavirus. I think it's really important for locals, certainly myself as a hotelier, as a small business owner. I think everybody's taking it really seriously. We don't want people to travel unnecessarily, and certainly we're doing what we can to manage risk. I think the city of Sturgis is discussing it. They've been taking public comment. My understanding is that the city will vote on June 15th, so just a couple of weeks away, to decide if there will be a rally this year or not, or if they want to postpone it. I know a lot of guests that are booked for the rally at my place and at other places are saying, even if the city of Sturgis doesn't host an official rally, they're coming anyway. I think a lot of motorcyclists really feel like they can social distance on a bike. They're on their own ride. I think, if there's a way to safely manage their interactions when they're off the bike, like the concerts, the pubs, the bars and things like that in Sturgis is where you'd have the closest contact. And I think if they're working to find ways to solve that and reduce, some risk, I'm hoping that they can go forward with it. But the most important thing is that everybody's safe. So we'll see. We should know soon.
Do you still have availability over that period right now?
I've got a handful of days with availability. I've got a couple days that I'm full during the rally too, and we'll see how it shakes out. Because if there's a change in status, if the rally's held or not, that might affect that.
Well, Custer is a beautiful destination no matter what. Yeah. And Michelle, I am so delighted to have met you. I am so sorry that I didn't get the chance to have
Me
met
too.
last year when I was going through town because I stopped at your property. That's the irony. I stopped there. It's
It's such a
what an
small
adorable
world.
place. So I will get back to Custer. I'm not sure I'm going to go
Please
back to
do.
Sturgis, but I'm definitely going to go back to Custer because the riding is incredible, and I'm looking forward to staying at your property next time I'm in town.
Please do. You'd be welcome anytime. And thank you.
Michelle, thank you so much. And for our friends again who are watching this, you can take a look. There's a great review of Michelle's book, The Butterfly Route, and you can take a look on Overland Magazine. That's overlandmag.com. And I strongly encourage you to pick up a copy of her book. It's a beautiful story of her journey and the trials and tribulations of traveling the way she did and all that she had to go through. Michelle, thank you again so much. And I hope you have a great day. And we look forward to talking to you again soon, okay?
Thanks so much, Andrew. Take care.
Take care. That concludes this week's edition of Bedtime Stories. I'm Andrew Beatty, the Motelorcyclist. Ride safe.